Thank you. I said thank you. Okay, guys, so Monday we talked about how to calculate slope from a graph where we have to count the boxes to do rise over run, which I'll get the door for me. Today we are going over slope formula. So guys, what's a formula?
It's like the way you do things.
Way you do things.
It's the way you solve a problem.
Okay, way you solve a problem. So way you do things, way you solve a problem. What's an example of a formula we've already done in this class?
F equals NA.
Good. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. You guys have also been using a lot of formulas in science recently about what?
F equals MA, energy,
And we did that
Force, mass, acceleration, distance, time, velocity. Yeah.
We did that rise over run stuff.
Yeah. Very good. Okay. Okay. So you guys have been using formulas a lot this year in both math and science. This is a new one. This must be memorized, which means you've got to know it. We're going to have a quiz on Friday, and you're going to have it in your brain by Friday. You hear me? Kyle, did you hear me? What did I say? Friday you have a quiz. You have to have this memorized. Put the book down. Thank you. Okay? So, let's talk about this formula. We use this formula when we're given 2 points, okay? Because here's what I don't want to do. If I'm given 2 points, I don't want to have to go get graph paper, make a graph, plot these 2 points, connect the dots, make a triangle, calculate the rise, the run, and put it in a fraction. Ain't nobody got time for that, okay? That's why we have the slope formula. We could do it that way, but this would be a better way to do it in this type of situation, okay? Y'all, seriously, in 8th grade, when I learned this, I cannot even begin to tell you how confused I was, because either I zoned out a little bit or my teacher was truly terrible, okay? And I probably should stop recording. But he left mid-year, okay? Like, genuinely, he walked out of the school mid-year and did not come back, okay? So thankfully, I know y'all are probably like, oh my gosh, Miss Cornett, you're terrible too. I'm better than him, okay? So we're doing okay. We had a student teacher from Montevallo come in. All right, so Jimmy, do you not listen to anything I say to you? No.
You ain't here. You looked at the wall.
Okay. All right, M. So guys, what does M stand for? And it is not mass. It is slope. Okay, remember? Remember over here we talked about the variable used to represent slope is M. Okay? So right here, this says M equals, which is the same thing as slope equals. Okay? This is how we find slope. Slope equals this. Alicia?
Okay, so when it's like y2 minus y1, so we calculate what's on top and then we'll subtract that, put it on the side, and net and bottom.
Don't you think I'm going to tell you how to do this?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
what does that mean divided?
There is division. Okay. Now, let's look at what our formula says, okay? This is where I got confused. This says y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Now, I might say over x2 minus x1, okay? So what threw me off in 8th grade were these 2's and these 1's, okay? So do y'all notice how they're small? Okay? But they're not in the air like exponents, they're at the bottom.
That means there's 1.
Okay?
That's a subscript.
Yes, that is a subscript. Very good, okay? So what this is telling us, y'all know we have 2 Kyles in this class, right?
Does that mean how many of one thing there is?
So, hang on. There's 2 Kyles in this class, right?
Yeah.
Thankfully, one of them is not here today. But that would be like you were Kyle 1 and he was Kyle 2. So whenever I say Y2, I'd be talking about that Kyle, or Y1, I'd be talking about that Kyle, okay? So it's not actually doing a calculation, it's just saying, hey, this is going to be the second Y value, the first Y value, the second X value, the first X value, okay?
You're recording and you just heard all that.
I know.
I love how it's
Here you go.
He's going to be like, wow.
Oh, please.
All
right. So, do we understand that this Y2 is just going to be one number as a whole?
Sure.
This Y1 is going to be just one number, okay? That 2 and that 1 are not doing any calculations. It's just saying second Y value, first Y value. Okay, the next thing we have to make sure we remember is when we have a coordinate what always comes first?
The Y.
The X. When we have a coordinate, X comes first, Y comes second. We have to know that in order to do this. Please write that down on your papers because y'all are staring at me and not writing. Okay? So we should have the word slope written down, and we should have X comma Y written down. So this is how coordinates look. Okay? So whenever we are using the slope formula, okay, I am always going to have you start by labeling the points. All right? So let's go ahead and zoom in to A. Okay? So I have negative 3, 2, and 5, 5. Now we have two coordinates here. The first number always represents X. The second number always represents Y. So in that first coordinate, we have an X, we have a Y. Over here, same thing. We have an X, and then we have a Y. Hang on, Alicia. Hang on. I'm so proud of you for having a light bulb moment, but hang on. All right, now we have two coordinates. Hey, this one comes first, so why don't we write a 1 there? This one comes second, so why don't we write a 2 there? We have a first coordinate, we have a second coordinate. Some people like to put a 1 with the X and a 1 with the Y. I just like to put a 1 and a 2. Okay? This one's 2 because it comes second. There's really no mathematical reasoning to that. This one's 1 because it came first. Okay?
Which one would it matter?
No, as long as you say this whole thing is 2, this whole thing is 1. Okay? So after we label, that's going to be our first step every single time. Okay? When you label, you make far fewer mistakes. After that, I want to write our formula. You have to have this memorized. The more you write your formula, the better you're going to have it memorized. M is equal. And we can do Y2 minus Y1. A lot of people accidentally put plus there. It's a minus. Over X2 minus X1.
That's confusing.
All I did was copy down the formula.
Yeah, it's kind of.
Okay, well, we're going to talk about it so it'll be less confusing. Yes, ma'am.
I just put 5 minus 3. Could you put 5 minus negative?
Yes. Okay, so let's work together. Okay, Y2. That means I need to look at that second coordinate where I put the 2, so right here. And I need to look at the Y value. What's the Y value? 5. So I replaced Y2 with a 5. Stop playing with the desk. You don't have this written down.
I do.
Okay. In our formula, what comes next? Minus sign. Do not forget that. Minus Y1 means I'm looking at the first coordinate where I put the 1. The Y value is 2. 5 minus 2. Don't calculate anything yet. We're just plugging in. Don't calculate anything yet. Just plug in. Okay? Then X2. X2 is 5 because I'm looking at the second coordinate. The X value is 5. Minus is in our formula, so we have to write that down. X1, first coordinate, X value is negative 3. So I have to write 5 minus negative 3. Now, you can absolutely put parentheses around this, okay? I see right here I have 2 negatives side by side, though. What is that? 5 minus negative 3 is a plus 3, okay? So I don't put my parentheses just so I can do that easier. If you hate that and you think it's ugly, you don't have to do it. I'm so sorry. Kelsey is giving me a stanky face right now.
In elementary school, there's T charts.
Yes.
One thing on the left, one thing on the right.
All right. Now we want to calculate. Okay, now some people really have a hard time when we have those double signs going on. You can use your calculator, but we do not want to plug this whole thing into our calculator at one time. We have to plug in which part first?
The top.
The top, press enter. Then the bottom, press enter. Because remember, we want this to be a fraction. 5 minus 2 is 3. Bar divided by 5 minus negative 3, or 5 plus 3 is 8. Okay? Looking at this, can I simplify my fraction?
No. Wait,
Does something divide out of both 3 and 5?
Simplify anything.
You can't, nothing can go in 3 and 8.
Nothing can go into both 3 and 8. Did I say 3 and 5? I said 3 and 5. 3 and 8 except for 1, and so that's not going to do anything. We don't want a decimal. We just want to leave it as a fraction, so this would be our final answer. So our slope is equal to 3/8. 3 over 8. This 3 represents the what of the slope?
The numerator.
The rise. The 8 represents the run. So we would go up 3 and right 8. It's also a positive slope, so if Bob was over here coming on the slope, what would he be doing?
Going up.
He'd be going up. He'd be hiking up a mountain, okay, or going up the ski lift. So we have a positive slope here, all right? So go ahead on B. Go ahead and label. Can y'all label these on your own, you think?
I already labeled them.
Okay, good.
Wait, so you wanted infractions?
Yes. Remember? Remember our note here on the front page of our notes? Slope is a fraction. We want it to be a fraction. Unless it's a whole number. All right. So we have 2 coordinates again. We always have x then y, x then y. We have our first coordinate. We have our second coordinate. Do I want you to write your formula every time? Yes. I had people in second period decide that they were going to write their formula for the first 2 problems of their homework, and they got them right. After that, they stopped writing their formula, and they plugged them in wrong. Okay? It really helps when we see them. So M is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I've labeled. I've written my formula. Now we need to plug in.
-8.
Very good, Jimmy. Y2, so second coordinate y value is -8.
-4.
Hang on, what has to come right after that -8?
Yeah, then subtract.
Minus subtraction sign, good. And then y1, you've already told me first coordinate, y value is -4. I'll put my parentheses this time because y'all like that better.
Wait.
What?
Why is it not? Why is it not? Oh, my bad. I messed up.
Are you sure? Do you know what you did wrong?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
I put it to what's the instead of what the 8 supposed to be.
Okay, careful. It has to be the y value. Yep. Okay. We have divided by x2, so our second x value is -2. Very good. Minus -3. Okay. Any questions on how I got this plugged in?
No.
No? Gael,
No.
I'm not reteaching you this.
I'm helping him.
Okay. We have -8 minus -4. Y'all can plug that into your calculator, or this becomes -8 plus 4, which is?
That's okay.
What is it wrong?
A lot. There's no way to get 7 from that, honey.
Yeah. Wait, you put 7? Hold up.
I'm confused.
Do you have -8 minus -4?
Hold up.
I mean, at least get like -12.
Oh, yeah, I know what I did.
Okay.
What did you do wrong? Because I want to know.
I did not put plus.
Did you type in the wrong number?
I don't know.
Okay.
If you put plus, you want to get it.
On the bottom, we have -2 minus a -3. So that's going to become what, guys?
It'll be 1.
1.
Sorry, I was thinking of
That equals
1.
-4.
Okay. Very good. So you guys can either do -4 over 1. That is a simplified fraction, or you guys can tell me -4. I will accept either of these answers. They are both good.
So you're not accept -7.
So whichever one you guys would prefer. But we know that -4 as a whole number is always over 1. Okay, so these are the same thing. Okay, good. Questions? Okay, so are we super confident? Is that what's happening right now?
Yes. No, it's
Okay.
Let's get to the homework.
Okay, then right now what I want y'all to do is I want y'all to go through on C and D. And I want y'all to label, write your formula. Okay, if you've already plugged in, that's fine. But if you haven't, just at least label and write your formula. Okay. So on C, okay, so xy, coordinate 1, coordinate 2. M is equal to, slope is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. If you label incorrectly or if you write your formula down incorrectly, you are going to do this incorrectly, okay? So y2, what did y'all plug in? 4 minus 4 over,
4 minus -3.
good, 4 minus negative 3. Okay, Philip, hang on.
Wait,
Okay.
I got it, mine's reversed. That's on top of that.
Then you did it wrong. Y has to go on top.
Why is on top, right?
Y is 4 and 4, so those have to go on top.
Wait, Y1 is 4. Y is over 3 feet.
Both Y's are 4. Okay? Alright, now let's calculate. 4 minus 4 is
No cap.
0. So what must we write down? 0. Over. We have to write the 0, guys. We've got to write down the top number divided by the bottom number. We can't just decide, oh, it's 0. I don't have to write anything down. We can't do that. It's exactly. Okay? Divided by 7. Some people were just writing down 7. The answer is not 7.
The rise is
Okay?
0.
So here's what I need you to do. Very good. The rise is 0. Okay? It's not going up and down. Okay? So y'all are thinking through very good things here. Can y'all put 0 divided by 7 in your calculator and tell me what that says?
0.
I just need to make sure we know.
I think it's, mine says error.
Okay? So guys, is the answer 7? No, it is 0. This would be a horizontal line on our graph. Good. So guys, whenever you have a fraction with 0 in it, it's not always 0. But you need to make sure you tell me, hey, the answer is not 0 over 7. It's just 0. Our slope is 0. This would be a horizontal line on our graph. Y'all were doing some good thinking there. Okay? Now, D is similar but different. Okay? So Y2 for D is
2.
Y2.
3 minus -4.
Very good, Jimmy. 3 minus negative 4.
Over -2 minus.
Very good. Negative 2 minus negative 2. Jimmy, are you going to forget all of this tomorrow and not know how to do it?
Yes. Yes.
Because you didn't do your homework right either, but you had this on
I
Monday.
forgot. I made a snowman.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a dusty snowman.
Okay.
That's a mud man.
I made a snowman.
All right, I need y'all to stick with me here. What is 3 minus negative 4?
1.
7.
What?
Did you just say what?
Oh, I know what I did.
Huh? Yeah.
I didn't make it.
What is 2 minus negative 2?
Really?
0. Okay, now, this is similar to C, but it's upside down. Will you plug this into your calculator this time?
7 divided by 0.
Plug it into your calculator and tell me what it says.
Divide by 0. Error.
Good.
Yeah, it's an error.
Okay. When you plug this into your calculator is going to say that there is an error occurring. In math, we are not allowed to divide by 0, okay? Because 0 can't go into things, okay? So what we have here is, what is that weird slope where it's not a number?
Undefined.
It's undefined.
I put 7. I would say it's undefined.
So our slope tells us the rise is 7, but it's not going side to side. So if it's just going up and not over, it's what type of line?
It's
Yes, but it's vertical. Very good. And vertical lines are undefined. Yep, we're just going up and down. Okay, I need y'all to add one more thing to your notes down here at the bottom. Down here at the bottom. Okay? Y'all will have plenty of time for your homework. If we have 0 divided by a number, the slope is what?
Undefined.
No, it's 0.
0 divided by a number is 0. A number divided by 0 is,
Undefined because if you put it in a calculator, it says stack error.
And that's how I remember sometimes, okay? This one was hard for me to remember when I was in middle school. So if I ever got to something like this, I just plug it in my calculator. If my calculator told me 0, it was 0. If my calculator told me error, it was undefined. But this is something you're going to either need to know or be able to figure out whenever you need to know, okay? Y'all got this down?